Hi, everyone. We're back to the Janelle Show, and I am here with Genesis Kemp. I am so excited to hear her story and share it with you guys. Hi, Genesis. How are you guys? How are you today?
I'm doing well, Janelle. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. One day at a time here. Genesis, like I said, I don't know too much about you before we started talking. I don't know a lot about you. So tell me, who is Genesis?
So, I am the author of Chocolate Drop in Corporate America From the Pit to the Palace. I am a creative content writer, visionary, inclusion and diversity enthusiast, and I am super passionate about helping people find out what their purpose is and how to really figure out who they are and not what people want them to be.
Okay, I like it. I like it. So I love that book title. That's super cute. How did all this get started?
It actually started a day out of frustration, just
Mhm.
being the only African American, or like I say, chocolate drop, in a predominantly Caucasian work environment, which is oil and gas. And I'm in Texas, so
Mhm.
it's very conservative. It's a very red state, and you also have, in my field that I work in, a lot of people that don't look like you. And so whenever they see you, they may feel intimidated by you, or they feel like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Or you have the other thing where they're like, oh, I'm just going to hire her so she could be that token to show that we are inclusive and diverse. And okay, we're checking the box and on to the next. When in reality, I feel like there's so much more that needs to be done in the inclusion and diversity space. So after talking about like my performance review with my supervisor, she gave me some feedback that I did not personally agree with. And I kid you not, the only way that I could like relieve the anger, because I literally felt like I could have slipped back to BC, which is before Christ, and punched her in the face, was to just whip out my phone, and I wrote down chocolate drop in corporate America, and I wrote three sentences. I wasn't even thinking about it becoming a book. It was just how to like relieve this stress right now, because I was like, ooh, this woman's just gonna get
Yep.
it. And then lo and behold, it turned into a book.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Yeah, I feel like especially with what everything that's been happening lately, I feel like this is such a big topic. A lot of my guests have been actually talking about how we want to get back to the point where this is a human race. It's
Mhm.
not a racial conversation. This is what can we do together as a human race. So I like that this is your mission. So how what do you do to change the rhetoric around this conversation?
So we definitely have to really start by listening to those who don't necessarily look like us. Because once you're listening, you're able to get a feel for your opponent or a different viewpoint on why they think the way they think, or why did they say what they said, or a little bit more insight. But whenever you're listening to them, make sure you're absolutely hearing them out and you practice actively listening.
Mhm.
And then if there's something that they said that did not quite resonate with you or with them, because it's a dialogue, it's a two-way street, then
Mhm.
you should have a question. You should have a Q&A and say, hey, I heard this is what you said, this is how I heard it. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I want to really dive into why you think the way you think. Is there something that this was taught at a young age? Is this something that you acquired based on your experience with with this group of people? Or is this something that one person did to you that you are now projecting on an entire race, which is not fair to that entire race? So we really have to be open to have these fluid conversations, and we have to be transparent with one another, because if not, we're not breaking down any barriers whatsoever. And I would also encourage people to really stand up and speak up for themselves as well as others. If you see something that is not right, speak up. If you witness if you witness something in the workplace and you have the ability to change it, then do so. Or if you are out out in the public and you see a incident that's not right, maybe you could just, video record it if you don't want to be confrontational. There's so many different things that we can do in order to make a difference. Don't just sit by and, be like, okay, it's not affecting me, it's not affecting my family, so, to hell with it. No, because then the vicious cycle just continually repeats.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I agree that people should say something, but I'm of the mind that me as a Black woman, I'm not going to be able to be the one to change this. So I feel like there are, should we say, allies?
Oh yeah, allies. I agree with that. You have to partner with them.
Yes, I think that they're the ones that are going to have to be the one to change this because they are of the right color and skin tone in the United States to be able to make the change that needs to happen. Our allies are going to be we just can't, don't have the ability and the power. It's over here trying to keep our kids alive, much less to be able to change the story and the discussion that is being had around our skin color. So that's just my thought process on things, is that we do have to ask for help and to ask to help from our supporters.
And I guess another thing I would add there, because there are a lot of Black powerhouses like athletes, celebrities, and etc.
Mhm.
If they use their platform and they say, okay, this is what we need as a race, or if I don't see this, then I'm not going to support X, Y, and Z. I think that would carry weight because there's so many people at the bottom that are looking up to these singers, actors, and celebrities. And I feel like they already have a huge platform. They can make a change in the Black race. And along with that change that they can make, also partnering with our allies. But I think it definitely needs to be done in conjunction with one another. I think we need to be bold to share our stories and share them unapologetically, because if the allies don't know what we're facing, or they don't really know the root cause, or they don't fully understand it, how can they really be an ally to champion and move the needle?
Yeah, no, I agree to that 100%. I just feel like with Kaepernick, I don't really see that there was a big substantial change. Do you feel like what he did created a big substantial change for us?
Not to the full extent that he personally wanted, I think, but it did get the wheels churning.
Mhm.
And now fast forwarding, I think by him taking a knee when he did, outside of the whole Black Lives Matter movement, then
Mhm.
once the Black Lives Matter movement jump started, then you saw more people that were willing to be in solidarity with him to take a knee. But if you really felt how he felt, why didn't you take a knee when he did it? Why
Right.
did you have to wait for the
Exactly.
whole Black
Exactly.
Lives Matter to pop off?
It feels like a whole bandwagon thing. Like I'm just gonna jump on because this is cool right now, but this is literally our lives and what we deal with every day. And so I really have an issue with people who knew that there is an issue, they've seen the issue, and they just keep on walking. And I'm not talking about Black people, I'm talking about the other people.
Yeah. But I wonder why they keep on walking. Do you think that they walk because they don't really understand where we're coming from, or they just blatantly don't care?
I think it's a little bit of both, maybe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, it's not necessarily my problem. I've got enough going on with my family. And also, it's like, no, it's not as deep as what you're saying that it is. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I had a friend that was traveling with me, and I would point out little bits of racism that was happening. She was white, blonde hair, and I'm Black. And I'm pointing out, look, they gave us both tickets. You got yours in an envelope. They just handed me my ticket. Like little blatant things of racism that were happening. And she was like, wow. And I would just point it out to her. Do you see that how they treated you compared to me? Do you see? And my money's just as good as yours.
Mhm.
So maybe little things like that, showing people that there is a difference, maybe that will help. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's a good thing that you brought it to her attention and you made her aware of it, because it's just small little minute things that they're like, "Oh, okay, I didn't really, pick up on that."
Right, right, definitely. So I want to ask about your lifestyle and comparative to your workplace environment. So my question is, how do you go about every day? when you're at work, is it an enjoyable environment right now?
It actually has been pretty toxic, and for the past 10 months, I've just been working from home because my father had got sick, so I was taking care of him, and
Mhm.
recently, as of November 25th, he passed away,
Oh,
so
wow.
thank you. So I got to spend that time with him at home, and
Mhm.
it was like, different because people on my team were questioning, why is she working from home? Why can't she
Mhm.
come into the office? Why isn't she rotating? And I felt like I already told my supervisor what was going on. It's none of your business for me to tell you as a subordinate or an equal. And I felt like they were probably like, oh, okay, she's getting different treatment, when in reality they didn't really know the back end of the story. So then, perception starts to creep in, judgment starts to creep in. Then you have people trying to IM you, hey, when are you coming back to work? We miss your smiling face, or whatever the case may be. And
Mm.
I'm like, no, you're really just trying to probe and get inside my business.
Mhm.
And I felt like the times I did go into the office here and there, it was different to the extent, we're in a global pandemic. You Caucasian people don't really think COVID is a problem. You don't want to wear your mask. You don't want to stand 6 feet apart
Mhm.
because you don't think that it's real. You think, oh, fake news or whatever the case may be. And the fact that I told you I am not going to sit down in this meeting room with you until you put on your mask, or until we find a bigger meeting room where I feel that I will be safe, because I have elderly parents at home. And at
Mhm.
this time, my dad was still alive. And it just turned into a big old thing. So come like around lunchtime, I just started packing up my stuff and I left. Because I could because I could do my work at home. Like, I don't want to put my family in jeopardy, my husband or my
No,
parents.
I don't blame you at all. That's ridiculous. Oh my gosh, people are so crazy.
Yeah.
So what did they say when you left?
Oh, they couldn't say anything because I knew who to go talk to. I was like, are we going to make it a team issue, or do we want to make it an HR issue? Which one?
Right, right, right. So now you're working from home. Everybody, is the whole office working from home? Are they happy now they're all from home, or how is that
Oh
working?
no, they're still rotating 50%. So 50% of the team will go in one day and the other 50% will go in another day. So they have like these little shifts that they do. And now they see, oh, okay, it's not so bad working from home, or
Mm.
or we understand. Or like yesterday was my first day to go back in the office after 10 months, because I was doing a job handover, and they're like, oh, you haven't been here in so long, or how's your dad? And I was like, okay, my dad passed away, like, but they wanted to know like what happened to him and all of that. And I'm
Oh,
like, oh, and they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, so Karen knew? I said, yeah, she's the supervisor. Well, I didn't know. Well, it's none of your business to know. You don't,
workplace politics. They're
yeah,
just wow. And they're so blatant about it too, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Wow, that's crazy. So let's get into what I my normal question here that I'm going for is your lifestyle, because this is a toxic work environment, and I always want my goal for everybody, especially the people that I speak to on these calls, is for them to have their dream lifestyle. So what is your dream lifestyle? It's obviously not this toxic workplace.
No. I guess my dream lifestyle would be owning my own consulting firm
Mm,
where I am truly making an impact in the inclusion and diversity space,
mm,
where not only am I doing it with different businesses and corporations, but I'm also taking it into the education system and starting with the younger people, elementary kids, and really showing them what inclusion and diversity is, how they should appreciate people from other cultures, backgrounds, and other nationalities, because they are going to be the future generation. And
mm,
if we don't get them at a young age, where are they going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now? That we're going to be in this gruesome cycle again. I also want to invest a little bit here and there in real estate and let me and my husband have a mogul, because my thing is I want my money to work for me, and I want to be able to control my own time. I don't want to have people tell me what I can or cannot do, because that's not my personality. And I believe that God put me on this earth for a purpose, and that purpose is to really ignite my gifts and talents. But I can't fully ignite my gifts and talents when you have people that are trying to water them down or have you be dumbfounded. So my mission is not to wait on other people to validate who I am, and it's not to sit back and wait on the appeasement of others. It's really to go out there and make a change, not just for Genesis, but future generations to come. And the reason why I said that is because when I think about my ancestors, they went before me to pave the way. So the least thing I could do is pay homage and really celebrate, the struggles that they went through, because it had it not been for them and them being bold and courageous, where would we be today?
No, I agree. I love that. That's beautiful. Have you started on this mission? I'm sure you have.
So I've been really talking about it and really sharing my story now unapologetically
Mhm.
since 2020. I've been on, I think, over 3 dozen podcasts.
Wow.
I've been in a few magazines with the book. I'm coming out with an expanded edition of the book, which I'm going to include another chapter to cover 2020, and I called that chapter 13, 2020, far from perfect vision, but a slap of reality, because so that's going to be the new chapter that's going in my book. And I'm also going to work on a workbook. And the reason why I want to do a workbook in conjunction with the book is because I want to help people navigate through different tools. And I'm going to start it with my reflection quotes, because it's so important to reflect on what you read as well as reflect on your life as a whole. And that helps you bring out self awareness as well as practicing self care, because those two go hand in hand.
I love it. I definitely love it. Yeah, I love it. Have you started trying to pitch yourself for consulting gigs?
Trying. I'm going to see, I have the book here.
Hmm.
I'm going to link up with this lady that I met on Facebook, and she wants me to start hosting podcasts for her clients. So they will be paid hosting events, and some of her clients are CEOs, C suites, and executive. And I feel like doing that will also be a way to like open up what I want to do in the I&D space and really start to gloom in there. So it's like baby steps right now.
No, I love it. That's massive. Those are big steps. I love it. That's great. So if you were to give one piece of advice on anything that we've discussed right now, inclusion, entrepreneurship, what piece of advice would you give to people? Just a lot of it's going on right now. What piece of advice would you say would help somebody right now?
I would definitely encourage people to never settle and don't allow the limitations and the barriers that people have placed on you keep you in confinement. You have to overcome your fear, which is false evidence appearing real, in order to help you step outside of your comfort zone to be who you want to be and not what they want you to be. And another thing I like to tell people, when you go to a funeral, you see all these tombstones and etc. Think about it this way, as all those dreams that are in the graveyard, because those people were never bold or courageous enough to walk out their passion to fuel their purpose. So the dreams that they had inside of them were dormant for so long that they were never, jump started, and now they're in the graveyard. So do you want your dream to be in a graveyard, or do you want it to be a legacy that is building your empire?
That's a lot. That's very heavy. That's very heavy. Wow. Thank you for that. Wow. Um, I'm a big book reader. So do you have any books besides yours? Because we know we're gonna grab
Yeah.
yours, definitely. But besides yours, what books would you suggest? What is your favorite? What would you say tell somebody to read?
I love the book Boundaries. Let me grab it off my bookshelf right quick so I can show you what it looks like. Ah,
You know,
so
you are the second person this week to mention this book. So I'm going to grab it when we get off from talking.
So, Boundaries is by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And I think this is so important as we're entering a new year, 2021. A lot of people don't really know how to set healthy boundaries and they become yes men or yes women because they try to appease other people. But if you think about it this way, all of us have pretty much flown on an airplane, a few times. They tell you to put on your mask first before you could help someone else with their mask. So if you don't know how to set healthy boundaries for yourself to make sure you are maintaining equilibrium and balance, how are you going to be sufficient enough for your family, your coworkers, or whoever you may come in contact with? So this book is just so, oh my gosh, it is so good. It just walks you through because I felt like with me being an August baby, a Leo, we're like very giving in nature, and sometimes you give and you feel so drained emotionally and physically. And whenever you say no, people are like, oh, but why? And I feel like your no should be no. You shouldn't have to explain why you said no. And this book has really taught me like how to like really establish healthy boundaries. That's a good one. I love this other book over here that I have. Could you have a child? So, oh, let me.
I
Oh,
got a couple of them.
well, I think my husband moved it. Well, anyways, it's called the Rules of a Big Boss. She was a 12-year-old author. She's now 13. She's a young African American girl, and she talks about how she was bullied in school, and how she felt like sometimes she didn't feel pretty or whatever. And she goes on to just share her story from elementary up till now. She's, I believe, middle school, and
Mhm,
it's just really, really cool. And I love how she's really talking about bullying because I could resonate with that because I was bullied in high school to the
mhm.
point where, I went into depression. But not only did she put out a book, but she has her own clothing line. She's been featured on TV. So it just goes to show that if you take the negative and you flip it to the positive and you have a different reaction to the situation, you could come out so much better than before. And it's incredible because people need to really know about bullying and the impacts that it could have because there's so many children who have committed suicide because they were bullying.
Yeah.
So this is a very needed book for young people as well as older people because sometimes people older people we face bullying in the workplace and sometimes we just can't take the pressure of it, but you have to really be strong minded.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Okay. I'm gonna definitely take a look at that one too. That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
Um, Genesis, I appreciate you so much for being here and sharing your story with us. Can you, if, is there anything else that you would like to share with us? Your links, anything like that? Where can we, if people, somebody wants to connect with you, how can we connect with you?
I'm on Facebook as Genesis Amaris Kemp, and that's Genesis Amaris, Amaris, last name Kemp, Kemp. I have an author page under Chocolate Drop in Corporate America. I'm on Instagram under my other brand, which is at Lady D Richardson. I'm available via email and I love talking to people and helping them. So it's Genesis Amaris Kemp at gmail.com. And if you're interested in picking up the book, you can head on over to Amazon. The book is available in paperback for $13. I have a Kindle version for $2.99. And if you are a Kindle Unlimited reader, you can get the book free of charge. And if you are really interested in supporting Black owned bookstores, the book is at Book Mecca, which is Mecca and Shelves Bookstore. And the book is available on goodreads.com as well. And I really just love, seeing transparent feedback and reviews on Amazon because that helps me improve my craft as a writer and etc. And I really want to know what you think about the book. So I really appreciate the support. I appreciate you having me on your show, Janelle. And I'm just looking forward to turning over a new leaf and really helping people, champion who they are.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you so much for being here with us, Genesis. You guys, this was the Janelle Show. Thank you for listening, and you guys have a great day.